DS may not be the most recognisable brand in the world, but Peugeot Citroen's sister company has strong ambitions to rival far more familiar names, whose electric models have set the benchmark in the small SUV segment. Like other PSA brands, DS has chosen to offer one model with multiple powertrains. The DS3 Crossback is available as petrol, diesel or pure electric. The E-TENSE badging signifies this is the electric version, and with prices starting at just over £30,000, it stacks up against cars like the larger Kia e-Niro and the budget MG ZS, as well as potentially more expensive models from established premium brands. You see, DS is to Peugeot Citroen what Audi is to Volkswagen, Skoda and Seat. Sharing much of its mechanicals with the Peugeot 2008 and Vauxhall Corsa, this is PSA's take on the small electric premium SUV. But does it offer enough in what is an extremely competitive and increasingly crowded part of the market? With electric car buyers seemingly more interested in technology and battery specs, can some fancy watch strap leather and a premium badge cut it? Let's find out. Despite the fact that there are clearly similarities with other small SUVs, the DS3 Crossback presents its own unique style. The tapered roofline gives it an almost coupe-like appearance, while small details like the flush door handles and sharp lighting signature give it an upmarket edge. There is precious little to tell the E-TENSE version apart from its petrol equivalent. The fuel filler cap is replaced by a charge port, and there's no blanked out grille like you'd find on some of this car's rivals. Inside, well, the layout is best described as quirky. I get what they're trying to do, but for me there's just a few too many sharp creases and sharp lines. But do you know what? Actually, all the buttons do what you want them to do. The buttons on here are all touch sensitive, and okay, they're not the most responsive, but it's easy to connect your phone via Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. There are a few things in here that feel like design for design's sake. Take the window switches on the centre console, for example. Why on earth are they not on the doors like they are in a normal car? And then when you look over your shoulder, that big block of black plastic completely obscures your visibility. Now, it's not all doom and gloom. The digital dials look great, and all the information is presented in a really logical and easy to understand fashion. Then there are these seats. These are genuinely some of the most comfortable car seats I've ever had the pleasure of sitting in. There's just so much cushion and without any real trade-off in support. And you know what? They take the edge off what is actually quite a firm ride too. Now, understandably, it's in town where the DS3 E-TENSE feels most at home. It's not Tesla quick, but the instant acceleration associated with most electric cars is present and correct. The steering is light, which makes the car feel nice and agile, and despite the fact that the over-shoulder visibility is not very good, the door mirrors are a decent size. But you'll have to step up to this ultra prestige trim if you want a reversing camera. Speaking of specs, this DS3 Crossback E-TENSE is available in 3 of the standard car's 4 trims. The entry-level Elegance model is not available here. There's just one 50 kWh battery to choose from, and with 134 horsepower, every version does 0 to 62 miles an hour in around 9 seconds, returning a range of around 200 miles on the latest WLTP cycle. DS says a full charge will take a little under 8 hours via a 7 kW wall box, while an 80% top-up can be achieved in 30 minutes using a 100 kW public point. All cars come with a 3-pin plug and a cable for public charge points, plus customers get 6 months complimentary access to BP Chargemaster's Polar network. Of course, like many of its rivals, there's an app which allows you to monitor charging, as well as set the cabin temperature ahead of time. Use the DS3's power to its full potential and you will see that 200-mile range suffer. We've been seeing about 150 to 160 miles on a single charge, and while that's not quite as much as a Kia e-Niro or a Hyundai Kona electric, it's considerably more than you get from Honda E or a Mini electric. Of course, the tax benefits speak for themselves, especially if you're a company car driver. Electric cars are exempt from benefit in kind tax until 2021, which means you'll be paying considerably less per month than your neighbour will be for a similarly sized petrol-powered SUV. Performance Line gives the car a sportier look, including unique 17-inch wheels, tinted windows and dark trim. These cars also get cruise control, front and rear parking sensors, keyless start and climate control. You'll need to step up to the Prestige for our car's glorious 10-inch touchscreen sat-nav, but even entry-level models get Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Those Prestige cars get leather seats and a 3-year subscription to DS's range of connected services. It's the Ultra Prestige that really steps things up though, with that bigger screen, a heads-up display, matrix LED lights, 18-inch wheels and these super comfy watch strap style leather seats. But at almost £36,000, this flashy Ultra Prestige model is starting to look a little bit expensive, especially when you consider how good and how premium the latest Hyundai and Kia products appear to be. And to spend just a few £1,000s more, and you're looking at a Tesla Model 3. The Tesla is a bigger and more practical car too, as are the DS's main rivals. The Kia e-Niro is way bigger inside, both in terms of backseat space and boot space. It makes you wonder whether it makes more sense to compare this car to style-focused rivals that I mentioned earlier, like the Mini or the Honda E. Still, with a 350-litre boot, this E-TENSE loses nothing to its petrol and diesel counterparts when it comes to practicality, and should be more than big enough for daily duties and a weekly trip to the shops. The door bins, while not huge, are usefully positioned, and there's a handy cubby in between the front seats. The wireless charging pad is large, but it ends up as a place to throw wallets, keys and snacks, especially if you're connected to Apple CarPlay or Android Auto via USB. And despite its compromised top speed, 93 miles an hour is more than enough to happily cruise along on the motorway. And actually, this car's pretty confident there. It's quiet, it's refined, the ride is good. It's actually on rougher roads like this where the DS starts to come undone, where higher and thicker expansion joints really do shake through the cabin. But as I said earlier, these seats are fantastic and do absorb the worst of it. While you wouldn't describe this car as sporty, for a small SUV, which it is, it's perfectly agile enough, and while light, the steering is precise and direct. The DS3 has a selection of drive modes. The first and the most restrictive of those is the Eco setting, which gives you around 80 horsepower. Now, it's sufficient to go about your daily duties, and you'll find there's enough power to poodle around town, and even on faster roads you'll keep up with quicker traffic. The second setting is its normal mode, and here you get about 100 horsepower. Now, the difference between 80 and 100 horsepower doesn't feel all that stark. It's when you flick it through to its sport setting, where it gets 134 horsepower, that it really starts to feel quite fast. In a car like this, you could never really wish for any more. There are just two settings for the regenerative braking system. The first one is effectively a coasting mode, so when you lift off the accelerator, it completely acts as normal. Now, the second is a B mode, so when you pull the gear lever towards you, you pop it into B mode, you lift off, and you can feel the car physically drawing itself to a stop and recapturing some of that energy that would otherwise be lost. It feels really natural, and it's really easy to use, and you quickly get used to it on the move. Refinement is excellent as well. I know we've come to expect quiet electric motors these days, but even as you raise the speed in this thing, you feel fairly well insulated from the outside world. This car's on 18-inch wheels, but you really wouldn't know it because the sidewalls of those wheels, of the tyres, is actually quite deep. So what we're doing now, 50 miles an hour, and apart from a little bit of wind noise, it's really quiet in here. Even when you raise up to 70 miles an hour and you spend some time on the motorway, it's a pretty calm place to be. The DS3 E-TENSE is packed with quirky French charm. That's not to say it's flawed. It's priced on a par with rivals like the Kia e-Niro, but it arguably has more in common with style statements like the Mini Electric. It's good enough to drive, and if you can live with its shortcomings, this new DS3 could save you thousands on your annual tax bill. Head to DrivingElectric.com for all the latest electric and hybrid car advice, news and reviews, and check us out on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. Finally, while you're here, make sure you hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel and turn on notifications to ensure you never miss a video.